So if you've got that itch, if you got that drive, if you've got that desire, it all starts with making the...
I was coasting. Remember when I used to be the brokest? I was hopeless. And going through it, they'll never notice. Now I'm focused. Won't stop until my pockets on the swollens. Had to show it. The deepest in that freezer, I'm the coldest. What you saying? My mama know I'm G, but that was not part of the plan. Nobody.
Welcome to the Mastermind Podcast. My name is Edison.
My name is Daniel.
And we got some nice little topics to go over today, kind of diving into something that I don't think we've really touched on a lot of. Matter of fact, I don't even think I really touched on a lot of as well. And it kind of goes down to business, and not only business, but self-branding. So we want to get more into talking about like marketing strategies, talking about branding, especially getting your name out there when you're a startup, finding things to do that are going to get people to look at you instead of it as a rookie, but rather as an expert of what you do and an up-and-comer in the industry that you're in. Many of you know I've got experience in the fitness industry and supplementation as well. Daniel's background comes from real estate too, so he's definitely got a lot of knowledge and a lot of value to provide for y'all as well, especially in that industry.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Going back, kind of what Edison said. We're basically trying to target and show people, hey, this is kind of like the right way to do things, because a lot of people put in the work, but they don't put enough work to get to that finish line. And me and Edison are going to go over some tips and tricks and see how we can help you guys out with that stuff.
Yeah, let's dive into it. So Daniel, talking about marketing. Being in real estate, I assume it's a little bit different compared to, fitness industry and, supplements, pre-workouts, things of that nature. When it comes down to branding yourself, especially as a real estate agent or even as someone who's trying to sell real estate, what would you recommend? What would be your tips?
So I would always recommend take over your market.
Right.
If it's not like too saturated, basically go into your market and take over. You got to make sure everyone knows your name. You're the real estate agent in Orlando. You're the guy to go to if they're trying to buy a house in Windermere. If they want to buy something, short-term rental in Disney, you got to be that guy. And the only way to show everyone that, I feel like, is self-branding. You got like Ryan Serhan, a very, very, very famous realtor, and all he does is really focus on doing his open house, filming his, content inside these properties, apartments or hotels, whatever he's selling at the time, and basically branding himself as knowing all about this property and knowing everything from the year it was built to the materials it was used, and you just want to be shown as an expert in your field. If you can get that point across to other people that you're an expert in your field, you're going to get phone calls every single day, and I guarantee it.
It's awesome. Yeah, I started with a question, but let me ask you this. How's everything been for you in terms of, not only your business, but your personal life? Like, how's everything been basically? How's business been treating you?
So the business right now, with everything changing in the market, has been a little bit tougher if you haven't been in the game long enough to have all that database. Right. So your tenants, for example, not tenants, if you're basically helping someone lease a property or find a rental property or something like that, those people tend in 2 to 3 years end up stopping renting and going to purchase a home. So a lot of right now real estate has been people making money from people that have been doing it in a while. One of the stuff that I figured out to kind of get in the game a little bit faster is basically trying to get all these lazy agents, call them up and basically try to take their open houses. Hey, if you're not available this Saturday, I would love to hold the open house for your property. If I can find a buyer that's interested in this property and would be interested in sell, would you be interested in making a deal? And 10 out of 10, they'll be like, yeah, why not? I don't got to do anything. You do all the marketing for me. Bring a buyer, and all I got to do is sit on my couch.
Simple.
And it's all about really, like, you see this a lot in different businesses.
Right.
It's finding that one company that's not doing the stuff. Like, for example, Dylan and I were talking about how a lot of tech companies drop monitors and computers on all these schools, but they don't help with installation, right?
That's right.
So being a company that does the drop and the installation, you're undercutting every single business that's too lazy to, focus on their customers. And, that's really why I feel like real estate and a lot of businesses play hand in hand, just because it's really just self-branding, marketing, being shown as an expert, the best player in your field. And if you can get those points across, I think you have a legitimate business.
Right. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because Dylan is somebody who literally nobody would have ever known he could accomplish what he accomplished now. If a lot of you don't know, I used to work with a gentleman when I was, back in the car business and, dealership basically. His name was Dylan. And, when you kind of see his upbringing, there was a point he had a business, he kind of put the business to the side, kind of gave up on it for a bit. He left the car industry, went into the tech industry, and it's like something clicked in him. Something clicked in his mind, and he was like, why am I making all this money for somebody else and for a small percentage in return when I can revamp my entire business that he already had in the tech field, take that revenue and utilize it for his own growth and personal growth as well, especially with his business. So his approach to it was something that personally I always say is my motto behind doing business as well. And it was, let me see how I can provide value as opposed to let me see where the profit is at, right? So what Dylan was doing, and by the way, his company's name is Didis, so Deedys, if I'm not mistaken.
Shout out to Didis.
So yeah, shout out to Didis. But so what he was doing is, like you were mentioning, a lot of these companies, especially these big tech firms, they go into these like facilities, they go into schools, they go into churches, whatever the case may be, people that need a tech. And what they do is they deliver $100,000, $200,000, up to $1 million worth of equipment. And they just drop it off and they leave. That's it. No further assistance because they're too busy. They have too many things going on. They have a large workload. So what Dylan wanted to create was a completely different environment where it's just like, listen, you've got this going on, right? You want to purchase this tech from us. Not only will we provide you with the tech, but we would also come out to your facility and personally install it ourselves just to ensure everything functions and works properly. That way you don't have millions of dollars of equipment just sitting. Because eventually that's basically what he ended up stumbling across. Mm-hmm. The person that bought these millions of dollars of tech, he went into their facility and he asked them what they were using. And they said, listen, we bought all this tech. We can't use it because we can't set it up. We don't know how. We have nobody that can help us. So he offered his own helping hand off of some technology that now he didn't only sell them, but he had no idea what it was or what kind of tech they purchased. But as soon as they showed him, he brought his people in and they did the installation for those people. And because of the fact that they were able to provide such a tremendous amount of value, they ended up earning that company's business instead of that large tech firm that they initially went with and spent millions of dollars just for it to sit and do nothing but collect dust. So it just goes to show that when you're profit oriented, it makes it harder to get profit. Because think about it like this. That tech firm that sold them millions of dollars of product and left it there just for them to install themselves, are they ever going to hear back from those people?
Nope.
No, they're not. Because they didn't go the extra mile like Dylan did in his company Didis to go into that place and actually install the equipment for them. Because now, guess what they can do with the millions of dollars of equipment? Put it to use. Put their investment to use. So when you provide value and you show these companies, you show your clients, you show your guests, whatever the case may be, that you care more about providing value and helping solve one of their problems, guess what? Not only do they look at you as an expert, but they will look to you as far as, okay, who do I want to do business with? Who do I want to give my business to? I'm not going to give my business to somebody that just wants my money and is just going to give me what I need and leave. I want to give my money to somebody who not only can give me what I need, but can also help walk me through step-by-step processes of, 1, how to utilize things, 2, how to install things, 3, after that, making sure quality control's there, making sure everything's functioning and working properly. Because guess what? What if these people bought millions of dollars of equipment and nothing worked? Even if they hooked it up properly, what if nothing worked? Guess what? They would be out of their money and they would be out of luck. So to have someone there that can not only provide value, but ensure happiness and ensure satisfaction, that's way more important than somebody that just has what you need and all you have to do is pay them for it.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to this branding and this marketing, a lot of it, not only is it, obviously you have your promotional things that you can do on social media, but a lot of marketing and a lot of branding comes from how much can you help other people and how can you help other people solve their day-to-day problems.
Exactly.
Because guess what that creates? Word of mouth. And with word of mouth comes more revenue, more clients,
Not
more
only
business.
that, happy customers. I mean, they're more likely to come back to you. You know,
Exactly.
if you ruin that first experience, you know, if you're dropping money on marketing, that customer could cost you around $800, $500 just to walk into your door. And because your service wasn't there and your customer, you know, relationship wasn't managed and all that stuff, you just lost $800. And for me, I want to keep that customer as long as possible. That customer's going to come by and buy another home, you know, 3-4 years later, or their kids are going to grow up and they're going to buy a home. And because the way my service was to them, they're going to use me every single time. And I guarantee it, because there's always going to be those people out there in businesses that only care about profit and margins. They don't care about the service. And the only way to bring people back and have that word of mouth marketing is to be the very best at what you do. And to do that, you got to put yourself backwards and put your customers first.
That's right. So now, getting into that, let me ask you this, Daniel. So clearly, you've got your own stuff going on. I'm pretty certain that, you know, from you being a kid up until now, you might have had a dream of, you know, becoming successful, like most kids do. A lot of kids, they grow up and their number one dream is what? They want to be
President.
wealthy.
Astronaut.
They want to be presidents. They want to be astronauts, which is usually everybody's first goal.
Yep.
Which was mine too. That's funny. But a lot of people, they have this type of desire and this drive in them that once they get into school, or, you know, the people that they meet in their lives end up crushing it. And, you know, a lot of times some people are not strong mentally enough to identify these signs and traits in people. So my question to you is, you know, considering where you are now, if you were to go back in time, right, and let's say you were to meet with 15-year-old Daniel when this dream first occurred, what advice would you have given 15-year-old Daniel that would help him out in terms of not only catapulting him even further, but getting him to a further position in not only his career, but in his overall life that you didn't have when you were younger?
I didn't pay enough for education. I went to school, so I thought, you know, school was where you're going to learn all your stuff. And then I realized, wow, there's actually millionaires out there that, you know, write books, you know, do courses, do all this stuff where it basically prints out the blueprint for you and how to be successful.
Right.
And I honestly feel like I just didn't spend enough money. I was very, you know, sketchy about a lot of stuff. And the moment I started investing in myself and in my education, how to learn about real estate, how to learn about branding and marketing and stuff like that, that's really when I kind of took that jump, that leap where it was like, all right, this is, you know, hard, but now it's, you know, possible.
Right.
And for me, that's what I think, because at first I didn't work hard enough. I thought I was working hard doing the work I was doing, but it was only 1/100th of the work that's required for that stuff. You know, I was making 100 calls a month thinking that's enough for wholesaling. And now we're making, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 calls a month. And basically it's all about that volume and learning and more experience and talking to those guys that are really not just talking about it, they're doing it.
Right.
You know? And they'll tell you, hey, you know, you're not doing enough. You got to work harder. And that's the life of the business. You really, you know, sometimes you market, you know, let's say for example, you send out like brochures or listing brochures basically to list their house with you, the owners. And let's say you're only dropping, you know, 500 a month brochures getting sent out in this campaign for
Right.
your test run. But if you increase it to like 5,000, 6,000, now you're getting more hits instead of 1 every 2 months off the 500 you send out. Now you're getting 2 every single month or 3 every single month. And those are leads that you can work on and make money on, of course.
That's right. So, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it too, because, you know, a lot of people, they don't realize a lot of things come down to not only what type of service you can provide, but what a lot of people don't realize is success comes in different forms, right? So what made one person successful might not be enough to make you successful, right? But guess what? If somebody is successful, let's say you follow in their footsteps, let's say they become your mentor, and let's say it might not be in a similar industry, and maybe their form of, you know, direction of where they went to become successful may not be your ideal form of direction to where you want to be, of course, become successful. What's the worst that can ever happen? The worst that can happen is you obtain some value, you obtain some knowledge, and using that knowledge, that'll give you an idea of how to actually execute going about your own route to success. It's the worst that can happen. So when you find someone who's doing something that you want to do, you find someone who's in a position that you want to be in, living the life that you want to live, and creating the impact in the world that you would like to create, listen to them. Look at them as a mentor. Find out what they're doing. Find out what goes on in their mind when it comes to how they approach business, how they approach marketing, how they approach giving customers the absolute greatest service that they've ever had. Figure out what goes on in their mind, what drives them, and what excels, like basically brings their business up to where it's at now. And using that knowledge, apply it towards your business. I'm not telling you to copy everybody. I'm telling you take bits and pieces of the people who are where you want to be at and figure out how you can use that to your advantage in order to help your own business grow and in order to help the quality of your life become greater.
Yeah, and exactly what Edison's saying. I mean, you look at people that go to the gym sometimes. They've been in the gym for a year, 2 years, and no results, no gains. They're not fat, they're not skinny. They look exactly the same as they did 2 years ago or a year ago. And what the really difference what you see when you start training is when you get that coach, when you get that guy to push you harder than what you really think your limits are, and then also the discipline and accountability that comes with coaching.
Right.
And I've seen a huge gain, you know, in finding mentors and a person that actually cares about my well-being, on pushing my business further, pushing myself further, and having someone to, you know, keep you accountable for all the goals that you have. I think is a huge advantage in business.
Yeah, accountability is key at the end of the day. What you have to understand is if the quality of your life is not where you want it to be at, guess whose fault is it? It's yours. And guess what? I'm going to tell you right now something that a lot of you needed to hear. I'm going to tell you all right now something that's going to put you in a completely different position. It may upset a few of you. And that one thing is this. If the quality of your life is not where you want it to be, if your success blueprint is looking rather blank, if you can think towards the future and see, okay, I'm not doing enough, guess whose fault it is? It is your fault. But guess what the biggest hurdle and obstacle is? It's your own limiting beliefs. What do I mean by that? Your limiting beliefs are this. They are beliefs that you create subconsciously or maybe consciously that limit you from becoming the person you would like to become in order to achieve the results and create the success you look to create. So how do you get rid of these limiting beliefs? You stop them as soon as they start coming in. But not only that, you challenge yourself. You do things that you think you would otherwise not be okay with. So you do things that put you out of your comfort zone. You do things that when you do it, you're just like, oh my God, I didn't realize I could do this. I didn't realize I was capable of this, that, and the third, right? So for example, when I talk about this, I'm talking about like with Darren and I, when it comes to Brawn, we've had to step out of our comfort zone a few times. You know, we started this business with our own money. You know, we funded this ourselves. We did everything from, scratch. I remember being in high school and we were selling protein bars for $1 wrapped in aluminum foil. Like it's like talking about how suspicious is that, right? I applaud Darren because I was always the one that didn't want to go up to people and pull out a backpack and say, hey, you want to buy a protein bar for $1 and pull out an aluminum foil wrapped protein bar. So, I applaud him because he was brave enough to do it. But at the end of the day, what it boils down to is this. You got to find a way to start. You got to find a way to get yourself out of that comfort zone. But more importantly, you got to find a way to not only get your name out there, but get your business name out there, right? So what Darren and I just recently did was we went to the UBU Expo over in Orange County Convention Center. Why did we do that? We only had one flavor out. We only had limited supply. We only had 2 guys that were brand new to the scene in terms of, going to these expos. But not only that, our business is rather new because we just came out with our first product in March. Although we've been doing research and development since 2016, our first product came out in March, right? But here's what we knew. We knew going to this event, even if we didn't sell any, even if we just sold 1, we wanted to at least get our name out there, but we also wanted to provide value. We also wanted people to understand exactly what was going into their bodies. We wanted them to know that we actually are knowledgeable in the formula that was created, the formula that was put and implemented into this product, so that way they feel more safe consuming products. It's surprising that a lot of these manufacturer pre-workouts, if you find a founder or the CEO or a manager of some sort, and you ask them, hey, listen, can you tell me in full detail what each and every ingredient in your formula does and how it can benefit me? Most times they'll only be able to explain 2 or 3 things out of a formula with 10 different ingredients. Reason being is because they're not passionate about what they do. They're not passionate about changing the lives of others and changing the quality of lives of others. All they really care about is, how can I create the cheapest possible product and make the most profit from it? So when we went into there, we just went there, we wanted to teach people about the industry. We didn't care if you bought from us or not. We didn't care if you came up to our booth with another product and you said, hey, can you tell me what this product does for me and how it can benefit me? Oh, can you tell me what this formula does? At the end of the day, if we're able to provide value, if we're able to teach you something about the fitness industry that you otherwise wouldn't have known, that to us is already a form of success. So we went in there with the mindset of, listen, even if we just sell one, we want to help impact the lives of others. We want to help get the knowledge out, get the word out. And not only that, we want people to understand the industry much better from a clearer perspective. We ended up walking out that very day, breaking records we never thought we would be able to break. Up until then, Braun has never sold more than 12 pre-workouts in one day. And I'm just being straight up. I'm being honest. That one period of time at that expo, because we were providing value, because we were giving out samples, because we were giving people the opportunity to try it for themselves, and we even told them, listen, try this for yourself, take a few hours to walk around, see how your energy feels, and then come back if you like it, buy it. If you don't, at least let us know and give us some feedback that can help get us a lot better and move us a lot further. And make a long story short, by the end of the day, we ended up selling 36 pre-workouts. You know,
Good shit, bro.
we basically tripled what our record already was, and that wasn't what made me happy. It wasn't the fact that 36 pre-workouts is more money in the pocket of the business or more money for the business. It just gave me a better idea and a clearer drive of, I want to make people as happy as possible. I want when people try my product, they go, wow, this tastes like juice. Like, just seeing the satisfaction in people's faces when they were trying the samples was enough to make me so happy that it literally brought tears to my eyes. There was one point where I literally went on lunch. I was sitting at a table right by the booth and I was just eating, watching Darren talk to these customers and just seeing everybody line up and take samples. And it literally, I couldn't even focus on my food. I was so happy on the inside that I wanted to put my food away and go up to everybody and just start greeting them, talking about the product. And it just made me so proud and made me realize, listen, this is what I want to do for life. I want to impact the lives of others and make others happy. So if you've got that itch, if you've got that drive, if you've got that desire, it all starts in making to be uncomfortable in your current state, but not only that, to impact the lives of others in a great way. Because once you do that, you'll truly be fulfilled and you'll know exactly what your purpose is and you'll know exactly what your desire is to become.
And Edison, quick question. I mean, everything you said, absolutely amazing. Congrats on breaking the records and stuff like that. What is one thing that you feel like you and Darren did at that expo to stand out from the other competitions? I mean, I'm sure there was Bang Energy there and a bunch of big competitors. What was that one thing that you guys felt that really helped bring all those customers over there and try your samples and buy your product? What'd you do?
So when we bought the booth, we didn't realize that the booth was going to be facing opposite from the stage. So it was basically the stage where the bodybuilders were competing at, the physique and everything. We weren't in view of anybody there. Like, basically nobody even knew we were there. So we were like, we've got to do something out of the norm. We've got to do something to bring people to our table, to our booth, to at least get some samples out. There was a couple booths that were literally flooded with people that was right in front of the stage. But we knew if we were patient enough, the people would come. Within the first hour of us being at the expo, we sold one. Okay. Second hour, we sold one more. Third hour, Darren and I realized we might not sell anything. We might actually sell less than we ever have before. But at the end of the day, we knew that as long as we could provide value, that's all we cared about. So, to make a long story short, what we did was, as soon as the physique competition was over and they went into an intermission, everybody started walking around. We were right in front of the strongman competition anyways. So we had this large speaker next to a big TV. The speaker has some nice colorful lights blasting, changing colors depending on the music. I'm sure you know what speaker I'm talking about.
I saw the pictures.
And then there's a, there's a 55-inch TV that was next to it that was showing our very first film that we created before we launched Tropical. And then we just had our banner, we had our tablecloth, and a lot of people, they saw the lights, they saw us, they saw the buzz, they saw people coming trying samples. And the number one thing that brought more people to our booth wasn't all these fancy lights, wasn't all the music we were playing, but when people walked by, they saw people take samples and drink it. The number one thing that they looked at was their reaction. So every time someone drank a sample and they're like, wow, this tastes like juice. This doesn't taste like a pre-workout. Guess what that did? That enticed people. That made them want to come straight to the booth and be like, what is this about? What is this about? And that's what everybody said. They walk up to the booth and they're like, what is this? I never heard of Braun. What is Braun? And sure enough, I say, listen, I'm going to dissect this label with you. Let me grab so I went ahead and grabbed the bottle. I walked up to them with the bottle. I showed them the ingredient list. And I dissected every single ingredient in our formula so they knew exactly what went into it. And I told them what was an efficacious dosage. And I told them what's usually labeled on a typical pre-workout that a lot of people don't realize is not efficacious or even effective enough to do any real type of effect on the muscles and the body and even on the mind. So when they realized how beneficial Braun was, not only that, Braun, the fact that you have an all-in-one pre-workout that not only contains nootropics but will contain, of course, your energy formula, you have your natural antidepressants in it. So of course, a lot of people, especially nowadays, one of the toughest things when it comes to working out is depression. But not only that, is when you have something going on at home. And I understand that because I've been in that state before. So being able to go through all of the ingredients with them and tell them what separates us from the competitors, but most importantly, showing them that we're not all about profit, but rather about making sure that they're going to be happy in the long run, that's what really generated business.
Yeah, and the differentiation between you and other companies as well, from what I've heard from you, is that you guys actually put the best ingredients in there and max them out. A lot of companies will cheap out with that stuff and put 50 grams of the healthy stuff and then put 300 grams of caffeine just to make sure you feel that itch. And it's going back to creating more value, knowing what the market is. Hey, these people want these ingredients. If we can max them out and be FDA approved and all that stuff and be able to sell it to them, it'd be a huge huge win.
Yeah, and coming from a background that I come from, I spent 6 years studying nutritional industry, studying everything about nutrition. I realized pre-workouts don't need beta-alanine, because beta-alanine, you need 179,000 milligrams in 1 month to get actual muscular gains. Most pre-workouts, they put beta-alanine. The only reason they do it is so your face, body, lips, everything starts itching, even your ass, basically. It's crazy. But they only do that because mentally, they know that psychologically, as soon as you start feeling an itch, you think it's kicking in, right? I was focused more on, let me get as much nootropics in there, as much happy formulas, of course, mood enhancements, and then, of course, I'll put the caffeine in there too, but I want muscle recovery. I want, the elasticity in the tissue to be there too, and I wanted to put formulas that would reduce perceived exertion when people did exercise to help make their exercises a lot better and reduce fatigue. So when I did all of that too, that helped too. But most importantly, these people that know their stuff in the industry, they went through the label, realized how efficacious things were and how beneficial it was. So what drew more people to our booth was not the fancy lights, was not the music, and was not the big name everywhere. What drew people to our booth was once one person drank it, once one person learned about our formula, they went out and they told everybody else about it. They went out and they told everybody else, yo, look what these people brought. Hey, you got to try this person's sample.
It's crazy.
We had at one point just one gentleman, and if you're watching this, we appreciate you for that. One gentleman brought an entire group of like 7-8 people over to our booth just to try samples. They're like, you guys have to try this. This is amazing. I just bought one.
Wow.
And they all tried it. And guess what? Not all of them bought it, but a lot of them found out about it, took pictures of it, took pictures of our booth, learned more about the brand, and it got the name out there.
Yeah, shoot, that gives me goosebumps just talking about it. And the reason why it gives me goosebumps is because I know how hard Edison's been working towards this. This has been years in the work. I mean, you didn't get your own product, but you've been working on it for years, and then you got it in, 2018, 2019? You got your first stop?
So 2018, 2019, we were trying to do the protein bars.
Oh, protein bars.
2020 was when we kind of realized, listen, we got to get something out there. You know, we got to get these pre-workouts out there. I had a vision for pre-workouts, and it's kind of crazy because when I first did my first prototype pre-workout, I bought all the ingredients myself, right? So I bought all the ingredients that I was going to put in the pre-workout by myself. I measured them. I put them on literally a scale to make sure I was getting the right amount of, serving sizes and things. And I would get a little unlabeled bottle, and I would pour these ingredients in it, right? And then I'll pour water in it, and then I'll pour flavoring in it. And I would mix it up, and that was my pre-workout. That's what I was giving people. That was my samples at that time. And I even bought these stickers that said everything
Brawn.
that, you remember everything that was in it. And then I was
They were like pre-made, pre-workout little things, and every time they go to the gym, they take it.
Yeah, and I remember like every time they would drink it, they'd be like, oh my God, I'm so much happier. Like I can't stop laughing, I can't stop smiling. And I'm like, how can I get these out to as many people as possible? So Darren and I made a trip to Georgia. We made a trip to Georgia and back on the same day. That's how dedicated we were. We weren't going to stay all night there. We made a trip there and back just to tour the facility in which our products were being manufactured at.
In a minivan, right?
At first
Was it the second trip was the minivan?
Second trip was a minivan. The first trip I think was a rental. It was still a rental, but it was because of Darren got into an accident. So luckily he had a nice little SUV as a rental. So we went over there, but we didn't go over there to pick up any product. We didn't go over there to buy anything. We just went over there to tour the facility where our products would be manufactured at, to make sure that it was a clean facility and to make sure that we were putting the top quality products into our performance.
Stop right there. How far is Georgia from Orlando?
Well, from where we went in Georgia, it was 8-hour, 9-hour drive there.
Y'all hear that? This kid just drove 8 hours just to go tour a facility, talk to the distributor, see how his quality is, his facility, and all that stuff, making sure everything was good. That's what it takes to do a business. In order to push your stuff forward, you gotta do whatever it takes. Talk to the people, make the connections that you need to make. And if you don't make the right connection, or someone that you feel like is a little sketchy, drop them. There's so many other businesses out there that can help propel your business forward, and what Edison did was absolutely great, man.
Yeah,
Darren, I applaud you for that one.
Thank you. Darren and we woke up at 2:30 in the morning. We left the house at 3:30 in the morning. We made it to Georgia. We did everything we needed to do with the facility. We ate some food. Then we drove back to Florida. And we made it to Orlando at 11 p.m. So from 3 a.m. until 11 p.m., we were just on the road the entire time.
Yikes.
And I have no regrets. And then guess what? As soon as our products were all done and manufactured and labeled, guess what else we did? We drove right back to Georgia, picked up every single package, every single bottle. We loaded it up in a rental van, got pulled over 4 times, but we drove there and drove back to Florida again on the same day.
I remember that. You guys were getting pulled over because
we're 2 young guys driving a van with a bunch of boxes in the back.
They probably thought you guys were part of the cartel or something.
Yeah.
Well, Edison, a quick question. I mean, what are 2 things you feel like you were doing back then that were pointless things, and what are 2 things you're doing now that you feel like are 2 of the most important things that help you propel your business forward?
So 2 things that I did that helped propel Braun forward, and Darren actually him and I have done some great things when it comes to Braun that help elevate the company and bring it to a different level of where we are now. It's one, we did everything we could to get out of our comfort zone and get our name out there. So what does that mean? We started off small. We went to local gyms, like Crunch Fitness, things of that nature, and we would set up booths. We'll just set it up right in the middle where everybody's working out, so that way everybody walks by and they get to see what we have. And not only that, but they get to try some samples before, during, or even after they work out. And it gave them the perfect opportunity to put Braun to the test, especially when it came in, and of course they were fresh. They hadn't taken a pre-workout yet, and they just came in. So we started off by doing something like that, which after seeing the success and the response that we received from the people that were going there, that's when we realized, you know what, we got to do something even bigger. We got to get even more out of our comfort zone. We've got one product, yeah. We've got one flavor, yeah. We've got two guys and a brand new brand that not a lot of people knows about. Who cares? Let's go to an expo. Let's do the next expo coming up, which is the UBU. Let's get our name out there. Let's set up a booth, and let's just do something over the top. Let's provide a sense of value that nobody else has ever been able to provide to their customers. Everybody else is more focused on how can we draw people to our booth to sell them stuff. Our goal is how can we bring people to our booth to teach them things.
And it's all about, kind of going back to that side. It's not, don't make your plan how to make $1 million. Make your plan how to change 1 million lives. Because if you can change 1 million people's lives or solve their problems, money's just going to follow. Right. You're providing something more valuable than anything, which is, help.
Right.
So, and that's what people need sometimes, whether it be, workout stuff or real estate or anxiety with a therapist. It's, at the end of the day, it's providing that value. If you can provide that value, I think you really capture your business.
Well, here's the thing too. The second thing that we did that benefited Braun as well, that we decided let's just take massive action towards, was actually investing into learning, studying, building knowledge, trying to become as knowledgeable in any industry, and especially in our industry, as we possibly could be. I learned how to code. I learned how to build a website from scratch. I never built a website in my life, but I built the Braun website. I spent 6 years learning formulas, learning nutrition, and learning what other manufacturers are not doing that would make my brand stand out, that will make my brand that much more beneficial, that'll help a lot more people, and most importantly, will change a lot more lives. 100%. And that's what I did. The overall purpose behind Braun is not just to be a pre-workout or just a workout company. We have a lot of things in plan, and that's why we call ourselves the future of fitness. For example, my grandmother, she's got dementia, right? So seeing what goes on with her, seeing her progressively get worse, made me even more dedicated and committed to learning about cognitive function, learning more about neural health, cognitive health, and what people are doing now that are basically hindering their mental growth. That's when I started kind of realizing, okay, there's a lot of people right now that are probably going through the same boat. If I'm not mistaken, dementia cases are at the highest that it's ever been now in the world. And my overall goal is I need to create some type of formula. I need to create some type of backing to where all I'm focusing on right now is not only mental health, not only physical well-being and health, but also cognitive health. Seeing the position and the state of mind that my grandmother is in is not easy. It hurts me. So that's why I put a lot of brain enhancements into the formula. That's why I try to put a lot of things that are good for cognitive function, such as, lion's mane, L-tyrosine, citicoline, Bacopa Monieri, things like that. So
bone marrow?
There's a bunch of things that a lot of people don't realize. If you put this into your product, you don't need to put beta-alanine to make people itch. Mm-hmm. All you got to do is put things that are going to benefit people, especially mentally, where they need the most help, neurologically, and it's going to help them the most. We're coming out with the Braun energy formula. We're coming out with a formula that's made not only for energy, but a nootropic that's going to aid in overall cognitive health and aid with cognitive functioning. That's going to be efficaciously dosed.